start with the first one. So we are now in the question and answer session. So Raphael, I think this is for you. The question is, what happens to mutual fund contributions and earnings during this period?
Thank you, Larry. So mutual fund contribution and earnings this period, it all depends on the kind of mutual fund you invest in, because they're all set up for different objectives. It all depends on the one that also fits your goal, like I mentioned earlier. But most importantly, as the opportunities present itself, it's expected that every fund manager taps into those opportunities because there are different mutual funds and they're invested in different instruments. But the opportunities that we see now across the ones that we offer are tapping into the opportunities that are available in instruments that we're exposed in. And the returns the returns are quite competitive in the environment today as we speak. I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you so much, Raphael. So the next question is on properties. So Raphael, I think you would also take that. I have two questions that are related here, so I'll just put them together. The first one is, what do you think will be the state of landed properties? I mean, what the prices will be. Will it crash or continue to be on the rise? And related to that is, when is the best time to invest in properties or mortgages, now or a cautious optimism and wait till COVID pans out?
So, so will property prices crash? So really, I think there are two ways to look at that, really. On one side, you have distressed sales right now because of people that kind of need cash, and they're experiencing the pressure in the environment. So distressed sales at the moment. For properties, ideally, it works with inflation. So it rises with that key parameter, that key indicator. So there are two ways that you can look at it, on that side. For the second question, when is the best time to invest in properties? The most important thing for you is to look at your portfolio and look at what will address the objectives, that you have for yourselves when you're setting up your portfolio. Because property, on its other hand, is actually one of the assets that can provide some sort of diversification for your portfolio. So it really depends on you, where you fall in the life cycle, and the sort of objective that you're targeting and you want to achieve. So you need to look at it that way before you can then take a decision to say, okay, property is one of the things that will solve this objective at the moment. But as it is, every time is a good time. It just depends on when you're ready to key in and what sort of goal you want it to address for you. I hope I answered that question as well, Larry. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Raphael. Thank you for that. So the next question is, this person is asking, is retirement savings account the same as pensions account, or is it different? Uche?
Yes, so thank you, Larry. So retirement savings account is the same as pension account, so you can use them interchangeably. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I have another question here that says, is there a tool for retirement planning that can be shared? Okay.
Yes, so there is, which is what I just explained now. The Walk Into Tomorrow is actually a retirement planning tool. We are going to send you an email sometime before the end of the week on the Walk Into Tomorrow platform, so that you can just take a journey in that platform. So that's how the purpose of a retirement planning tool. It's also important to know that after these sessions, your relationship managers will also be contacting us for those that will be interested to have a more comprehensive retirement plan, that is more comprehensive than what you might probably have in the Walk Into Tomorrow. So your relationship managers will be, calling us to, for those that will be interested as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll quickly move on to the next question. A lot of questions are coming in. This next question says, that our colleagues who left for Australia or Canada have complained that it's been difficult for them to access their funds as opposed to their colleagues in Stanbic. How can those relocating access their funds after standard 4 months? Uche?
Okay, thank you for that question. We have a couple of, in fact, just last week, I have somebody in Canada who I was able to help access her 25%. So the only challenge some of those people might have now is if they've not been able to complete their data recapture. We know that PENCOM had made data recapture compulsory for anybody to access their benefits. So data recapture, there are requirements to do that, which one of the compulsory requirements is your NIMSI slip, which is that you should have done your capture with the National Identity Management Commission. Now, for quite a number of them that we've had challenge paying is the fact that they are no longer in Nigeria and they have not been able to do that capture. And without you passing through that process of capturing, you might have issues with assessing your 25%. And a lot of them, while traveling, don't have some documents. So we have issues with documentation. And we also need to be very careful, as a business, so that we are not paying the wrong persons. So the ideal thing is you are supposed to get your document and let I've forgotten the name, a lawyer that could attest to it that this is a true copy, and with that we could actually attend to you wherever you are. So the basic thing is get your data recapture sorted out as soon as possible. We've been sending communications out to clients to get those data recapture. And thank God for technology. You really don't have to leave the comfort of your office. We have a platform which you can actually go and get your data recapture done on your own. If you still feel you want us to do it, all you just need to do is email us the necessary document, as we'll also be sharing after the session with you. With that, we can just do it without you leaving the comfort of your office to get your data capture done. So I think the only thing is just get your NIMSI slip ready and other requirements as will be needed, and yeah, you'll be able to get that done. So once your data capture is completed and you have unnecessary requirements, anywhere you are in the world, we'll be able to attend to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Uche, for that. And for the earlier question asked earlier, so we also have dedicated RMs who can also help you with dedicated retirement plans. So aside from the tool, once you use the tool, I mean, that will also get you started. And if you want something more comprehensive, we have our dedicated relationship managers who can then sit down with you to get specific details, to go more granular and have something that you can also work with. The URL to that platform that Uche mentioned about is wit.armpension.com. So I'll move on to the next question right now. Raphael, I think this is for you. So the question is ARM into stockbroking?
Thank you once again, Larry. Yes, ARM has one of the companies in the group, ARM Securities. So what we do for you essentially in that space is to take your mandate to buy securities for you and to sell securities for you. But the most interesting thing that you'll enjoy from us is that every day of the week, we provide our view on the economy from the macro to the micro. Securities we feel that you should hold on to, securities we feel you should sell, securities we feel you should buy. But ultimately, the decision lies in your hand to say, buy this and sell this, at the end of the day. But yes, we have ARM Securities as one of the companies within the ARM group.
Thank you so much, Raphael. So there's a question. Someone is asking, is it possible to move from one pension scheme to ARM? Uche.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that is very possible. Although the transfer window has not opened yet, but we have indications from the commission that that is going to happen in a couple of months from now in this year. So we are ready for the transfer window, and quite a number of our clients are happy with us and are happy to bring their friends over. So all you need to do is contact any of your relationship managers, and we just get your details and get all the necessary, you get the form completed and all the necessary documents that will be required. Once that window is open, as we expect it to happen anytime soon, we'll just push your record and you are over to ARM. So we can't wait to have you on board. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. The next question is, so Raphael, again, I think this is for you. Please, I need more info on your dollar mutual funds.
Okay, so for the dollar mutual fund, it's a mutual fund that invests in Eurobond, which are locally issued. That's what we're permitted to do. So you invest in dollars as low as $1,000, and you're allowed to add to your investment at every point in time. And you also make your withdrawals in dollars as well. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Otherwise, we'll provide our details at the end of the presentation, and then we can talk more on other information that you might require.
Okay, thank you so much. Wale, the next question is for you. Is this the best time to invest in stocks in Nigeria? What are the organizations that you would likely recommend?
Thanks. Well, it depends. So it depends on your risk appetite and your time horizon. So what I mean is, are you using money that you need 3 months from now, or is it money that you can wait for 2 years or 3 years? That also infers what we recommend, and hence why we need you to talk to one of our relationship managers. But for us, in terms of strategies that we employ to your portfolio, we look for companies that are going to be able to better weather the storm. So for instance, we're all working at home right now, so we're all using a lot of data, a lot of voice. So obviously telecommunication seems to be able to do much better than you would say manufacturing company. You know, people have to eat. So what are the best producers that are better able to manage that? We look at those companies, or which are the banks that are better or more adequately capitalized to perform better over the next 2 years, and what are the valuations? So that's just a general sense. But once we talk to you on a one-on-one basis, if you're talking to the stockbrokers, we have a lot of research materials that we push out, and then we can then come up with a strategy for you.
Thank you, Wale. Wow, we have a lot of questions. So I'll just take the next one. So I think this is also for you, Wale. Someone is asking, in the past, we've had Nigerian banks folding up. Are we likely to have similar cases during this time?
Well, yes, we have. When I mean yes, we have in the past. What's happened is that right now the banks are actually more capitalized than they were previously. Furthermore, the CBN in this instance will not let any bank fail. So as you have seen with what happened with the bridge banks, so the Sky banks at the left, it was moved over to AMCOM. But when you look at it on a holistic basis, the Nigerian banks really and the top tier banks are very much capitalized. They have and there's been an IFRS 9 implementation that started happening 2 to 3 years ago. So not to go very technical, but they are very stress test. And at the moment, for a good size of all the banks are very capitalized. And hence that's what you should be looking to. So you have your tier 1 banks, and you also have your top tier 2 banks. Those are the companies that we look at to invest in, and just depending on the risk profile. But in this climb, you've seen this is really, no one could really factor the impact of COVID. Globally, you've seen companies already start filing for bankruptcy, companies that you would have said never. So it's really a very interesting time. And so the real question is to really be cautious and be very careful where your investments are. But what we do know is the CBN will ensure that no bank fails, because once it does, then it's systematic. And that's the approach that they will take.
Okay, thank you, Wale. So I also have a question here. Raphael, so I think this is for you. In this time of COVID-19 pandemic where businesses are struggling to keep afloat, what will be your advice on mutual fund investments, especially for those with loose capital?
Okay. I mean, we can't emphasize enough that you need to be clear on your goals. You need to be clear on where you stand so that you can pick the right mutual fund, you know, to align with that goal, and be able to provide the sort of return that you're looking at. However, the money market fund today still provides a huge competitive return in its space. The dollar mutual fund as well provides a huge competitive return in that space as well. And then if you're looking more at long term, the equity mutual funds as well are quite competitive where they are. But like we've mentioned earlier, it would be nice to have specific discussions with you so that we can understand what your objectives are. And then we can narrow the discussion down to the instruments that we believe will be able to provide the sort of returns or the sort of responses that you need to achieve those objectives in the future. So that's essentially how I think we should look at it, you know. But those opportunities are there, and the mutual funds are quite doing well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can, because of time, just take one live question. If there's anyone who would like to ask a question live right now, you can just use the raise hand button on your screen to signify interest. Okay, I can see some who have raised hands already. So I will just take just one person. Sorry, because of time, we will not be able to take everyone. We have just like less than 5 minutes to close this session. So I will just call on Ifeoma O to ask a question. Ifeoma, you can just unmute yourself and speak. Okay, I think let me just go to another person. I have Kola Walla. Kola Walla, you can also unmute yourself to ask your question right now. Okay, I guess we should just return to the other questions in the Q&A panel. The next question here, Raphael, someone is asking, how do you start the dollar mutual fund contribution?
Okay, thank you once again. So there's a form that you need to complete. You can do that online, and you can do that via hard copy form that we can provide to you. You provide your passport photograph, your federal government issued ID card, which can be your driver's license, permanent voter's card, national ID card, what again in that space. So there are 4 different kinds of federal government IDs anyway. Just provide one of them, your passport photograph, your proof of address, which states the same address that you complete on the form. And then we'll provide the account details as well that you can transfer the funds into, and then we'll set you up, create you online. You have online access and you're able to view what's going on to your investment. And you can always add to your investment in multiples of $500. Sorry, multiples of $100. Sorry. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, thank you so much. I have one other question here. I think this probably be our last. So someone is saying, I was utterly displeased with ARM. I didn't have a job between 2011, 2015, and the person wasn't contacted. Which means if I was diseased, the money would have entered voicemail, and my next of kin won't be contacted. So I asked, what assurance are you giving us to ensure that in the event where unforeseen occurrences happens, our next of kin will be contacted and assisted to closure? So there's something you said about properties and bringing it together in one portfolio. Could one elaborate? could you elaborate? And finally, the investment in USD details, please. And I also hope I can withdraw from it whenever I wish to. So I think for the investment in USD, Raphael has already spoken to that. So we want to apologize for that experience you had. That is not our intention for you. And in fact, we have a tracking system that we use to track our colleagues, our clients, to ensure that even when we don't receive contribution in the following month, we have that system of getting back to the HR to ensure that we are sure why is MTN or whichever employer is not remitting for that employee. Is the person no longer working with them? And we also, as much as possible, get in touch with the client. And in the case that we are unable to get through to the client and the employer probably do not have sufficient information to give to us, we reach out to the next of kin. We always do that. We do that on a monthly basis when we don't receive remittances for our clients. So we want to assure you that your interest is in our hearts. The money cannot enter voicemail because the money is in your account and will only be in your account. ARM Pension does not have the right to touch any funds in any client's account until we have authorized instruction, either from, the only authorized instruction that we can even get is only from the owner of the account. Without the authorization of the owner of the account, we cannot move 1 naira from anybody's account. So we want to apologize for that experience, and we assure you that we have tracking system to ensure that just like we are doing right now for anyone who probably as a result of not having a job. And we also have opportunities and information or engagements that we have with people who don't even have jobs at the moment. So we would also like to engage with you, just to understand and see how we can clarify some of this. So thank you for asking that question. And again, we apologize for that experience. So the other questions on the USD investment has already been mentioned. So please, would like to just end the session right now. So I'll just invite Raphael to just close with the result of the poll earlier. And we'd like to thank you for joining us. So Raphael, you can just go ahead.
Thank you, Larry. So the first poll, very interesting. 68 people believe that emergency fund is important. And the second poll, we have just a few people that feel that retirement planning is for old people. So what we're just going to say is that these are interesting times. Financial planning or retirement planning, you can use them interchangeably. They're actually important the moment you start your career. The moment you get your first job, you need to begin that comprehensive financial planning across all the goals that you want to achieve in life. As you move up the ladder, these goals will tend to change. So you can always make those assumptions, those adjustments as you move up the ladder. But it's very critical because at the end of the day, the journey will take you all the way to financial independence at the end of the day. And that is why it's very critical that you start. Emergency fund, on the other hand, is a very critical component of your financial planning because what it does is it allows other goals to run their course while you don't disrupt the flow, of those other goals. So that's why you need to have that emergency fund. And don't forget the rule. It needs to be a minimum of 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses at every point in time. So even if you take out of it, ensure that you top it up to get back to that level, and then you leave it for rare emergencies. For those that don't know us, it's important to mention to you at this time that ARM is an organization that is structured to be more than a life partner to you. So we're positioned in such a way that we've made provisions for you from the cradle to the grave. If you even permit me to say that, from the cradle to beyond the grave, because we have first and second generations that we also cater for at this time. So at ARM Investment Managers, which is our asset management company, we provide opportunities around comprehensive financial planning for you from this time before your retirement years. At ARM Pensions, we take care of your retirement plans. At ARM Trustees, we provide you with a trusteeship and wills service. At ARM Agribusiness, we're focused in that area to ensure that we promote the agri diversification idea of the federal government in that space. ARM Financial Advisors speaks to our digital platform. ARM Harriet Infrastructure and Capital Partners are the private equity businesses of the group. And Mutrah Africa, which cuts across 5 different African countries, is that country that provides property within the ARM group for our clients. So we're really there to cater for you from cradle to the grave, but like I said earlier, to beyond the grave, if there's anything like that. You know, so we're there to provide for you all through and hold you, speak to you, provide those opportunities, create a portfolio for you, walk you through the comprehensive financial planning, and ensure that that ambition at the end of the day is realized together as we partner with you. We've been around for 26 years and we'll continue to be dynamic. We'll continue to create those opportunities to ensure that our clients seamlessly achieve those objectives. We're going to leave behind the contact details so you can reach us on those details. And again, let me just quickly stress that for questions that we've not been able to answer at this session, we will send to you early next week a Q&A, collating all of these questions and providing answers to each and every one, and we'll share this with everybody. So we thank you once again as we leave our contact details for you to reach out to us, and then we can take, we can have this one-on-one discussion with you and see how we can further partner with you to ensure that those ambitions, those objectives that you have eventually achieved. Thank you. Bye.